So we saw that this graph helped us to summarize a lot of data in our financial summary table, but it still doesn't answer the question, why are EBITDA margins slowly declining over time and steadily declining over time? In order to answer questions in greater depth, we need to do analysis in greater depth. So by studying EBITDA, it's just a proxy for operational profit, and operational profit is just your revenue minus your operational costs. So let's do that. Let's look at just the mining side of things. We have our variable cost per ton and we have our copper price. So these are our internal cost drivers, and this is our external revenue driver. And let's look at how they interact over time. Again, I'm going to insert a graph, and let's just insert a line graph. Now, because my fixed cost per ton is low relative to my variable cost per ton, I'm just going to, for visual reasons, plot that on a secondary axis. Okay. So what we can see happening is our copper price is flat, which was our assumption from the beginning. But we can see that, okay, our variable costs start off very high, but they go down. Now, this is normal because bear in mind that this mine is still under construction, so it's still finding some efficiencies. So costs are expected to be high at the beginning. But then when it reaches steady state levels around 2024, we can see that our costs are now steady and they've bottomed out as the mining team has found all the efficiencies that it could possibly find. But what happens going forward is you have this steady incline in terms of your fixed and your variable costs, but your copper price remains steady. So we call these negative operating jaws. Now, what an operating jaw is, it's just the difference between your revenue and your costs. So if your revenue is rising, but your costs are decreasing over time, we call these positive jaws. This is very good, okay, because your profitability margins are increasing and improving over time. But what's happening here is we're having negative jaws, where our revenue per unit is actually either remaining flat or it's going down, but our costs are rising over time, which is not good for the business, meaning that our profitability margins are shrinking over time. So this is what we're seeing in this graph. And this explains the contraction of EBITDA, because our costs are going up, but our revenue is not going up commensurately. So we've gleaned quite a bit of information from our graphs as opposed to just looking at a whole host of numbers on a worksheet. So this just illustrates the importance of graphs.